Damascus, Syria, 1986. He was known to the CIA's clandestine service as the chemist, and few at headquarters would ever know his real name. A professor and a gifted scientist, he had been perfectly positioned for spy work with a job that entitled him to privileges not accorded to ordinary Syrians, including a broad latitude to travel and to meet with foreigners in the crowded souks and smoke filled cafes of the old city. He drew little attention to himself as he moved about, a small, clean shaven man in his late 30s with owlish glasses and grey flecked hair, in a modest suit that might have belonged to a salesman or bureaucrat. Only when he spoke English was there a hint of something exotic, a distinct American accent. It was the only detectable residue from a youth spent partly in the United States, where he attended school, ate cheeseburgers, played sports, and even joined the Boy Scouts, all before returning to his homeland to become an expert in making chemicals designed to kill human beings. He was proud of his professional work, so proud, in fact, that analysts suspected at times that his spying was motivated less by patriotism or greed than by a compulsion to boast. His first attempt at establishing contact had occurred at a scientific conference in Europe, where he had asked a friend to pass along a note to an American at the US Embassy. Many months passed before the CIA followed through, yet he seemed unsurprised when a stranger approached him after one of his evening lectures at Damascus University. "I've been expecting you," he told the visitor, a 20 something CIA case officer who would soon be entrusted with an extraordinary military secret. "Call me Ayman." The chemist seemed to take an instant liking to the American, and the two spent long hours in conversation, as each quietly sized up the other. One day, the scientist invited the young officer to his home in downtown Damascus, a small apartment he shared with two different women he had wed legally under Syria's permissive polygamy laws. He seemed compelled to justify his living arrangements, as another man might explain an extravagant impulse purchase. His first wife was an excellent cook, he said, but he had decided to marry a second, considerably younger woman, his secretary, out of a purely carnal attraction. Who would have foreseen such turmoil? The two women squabbled constantly, except for the times when they united to direct their scorn at him. He had wanted a spicier love life and ended up with a case of perpetual heartburn. "I don't recommend it," the scientist counseled his guest. The two wives politely served coffee as Ayman spoke of his high school and college years in the United States and of the kindly American couple who took care of him when he arrived as a wide eyed teenager with a suitcase and an academic scholarship. He showed off his stereo and musical collection, playing a few tracks of moody electronica from his favorite artist, French New Age composer Jean Michel Jarre. And then, after the women left the room, the Syrian turned to the subject that he had waited anxiously to talk about. That evening, in the first of multiple meetings between the two men, he told his incredible story as the case officer sat transfixed, the sludgy coffee turning cold in his cup. On a hill overlooking the capital stood a complex of laboratories where Syria's military carried out experiments on new weapons. Foreign intelligence services were well familiar with the Scientific Studies and Research Center, commonly known as SERS, its French initials, as the place that supplied the engineering muscle behind Syria's modest line of missiles designed to deliver conventional warheads to Tel Aviv or Jerusalem. But hidden within SERS was a secret unit called Institute 3000, and Ayman was one of its senior researchers. Its primary work was making a line of exceedingly lethal poisons to be placed inside those warheads. The scientists called their project al-Shakush, or in English, the hammer.